We're about as sick of each other as four people can be. We basically can't wait to get the hell out of here.
Jason Alexander is kidding, of course. In a world where egos run rampant, the Seinfeld crew is a remarkably functional family, even though they don't really hang out at a coffee shop.
Is it hard to get through scenes sometimes because you guys crack each other up so much?
Yes, and I am the worst.
Are you?
Mm-hmm. I think when I lose it now, it's referred to as when Princess Giggles enters the set. Isn't that adorable?
Very cute. But a day in the life of a Seinfeld cast member isn't as fun as you might think.
Okay, guys, places, please.
We visited them on a Hollywood backlot shooting street scenes for the controversial episode that ran last week. They'd been here since 5 a.m.
No, don't kill him, don't kill him.
What are you talking about? Come on, man.
Because this series has many more scenes than the average sitcom, that often meant long shooting days and constant rewrites.
These are the changes that I have to memorize. See?
You're kidding.
These are the lines I memorized last night, and then I just got these changes this morning.
Kramer, who is Michael Richards in real life, is whipped.
I'm fried. Well, technically, you're sautéed.
It's just so much work each week. It's just a lot of work, and I don't think I enjoy it as much as the audiences
Really?
do. Yeah, I work very, very hard.
People always say, is he like his character? I say, no, absolutely not. He's insane in a whole different way.
I read an article in Entertainment Weekly that said that Kramer was much more savant than idiot.
Mm-hmm. I think that's true. That's very well put.
Your character has changed quite a bit over the years, don't you think?
Yeah, I play him now like he's one step ahead of the others. Before I used to play him like he was one step behind. I would intentionally not read what everybody else's storyline was in the script. I try to, so when I walk in, I really don't know what's going on. I like not to hear what everybody's doing until I come in.
How did that help you?
It just made me feel real stupid.
Will you teach me how to do a quick Kramer entrance, real quick? Yeah.
How about an exit?
Welcome back to the show.
But if Kramer's personal trademark was his entrance, then this was Elaine's.
Get out!
Don't worry, I asked her to do that.
Let me try that. No, I'm nursing. Okay.
Julia Louis-Dreyfus has made Elaine into a kind of 90s everywoman.
She says what so many women would like to say. Maybe that's it.
Yeah.
You know, maybe everybody wants to say, get out, and push somebody away.
My hair, oh, sorry. My hair.
What about my hair?
Your hair looks
Is anyone
good.
looking at it? Yeah, that's right. Get some powder.
That Elaine, she can be very demanding. Actually, Julia says she has nothing in common with her character.
She's vain, she's mean, she's aggressive, she's a loser to hang out with these losers, but ultimately she's funny because it's written funny.
You don't ask, you tell.
But if Elaine's a loser, what about George?
We thought you were gonna wind up on the street.
Only George Costanza would make sure he came to visit his mother at the hospital when her roommate was getting a sponge bath. He's a tightly wound ball of nerdiness, neediness, and neuroses. And yet somehow...
George, your cousin Shelley is talking to you.
You can't help but like the guy.
He's lovable to me because he is so clearly wearing his life on his sleeve. There are some circles, some very strange circles that we do not want to travel in, where he's a sex symbol of sorts.
But a lot of people really do like George and relate to him, I think.
A lot of people have come up over the years and said, all my friends tell me I'm just like you. And I try and tell these people, this is not a compliment that they're being greeted with, you know. Get new friends.
And when George's parents arrived on the scene, it became painfully clear the apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
People take buses to get that ride.
Maybe they forgot to put it out. Oh, they didn't forget to put it out. It's deliberate. Deliberate, I tell you.
I think basically America's tuning in because they can't believe we make this much money for the crap that we put on the air.
The people responsible for the stuff they put on the air? The writers, of course, who somehow managed to dish up a weekly dose of absurdity. Co-creator and writer Larry David says the show about nothing was really a show about nothing much. the stupid little things in life that people always think about but won't admit to.
They're thinking about themselves and their own little problems. Why wasn't I invited to Herb's party last week? He invited you. Why didn't he invite me? Those are the things that people are thinking about.
For instance, this episode called The Little Kicks was inspired by the ex-boss of one of the writers.
That boss became a joke. No one could look at him or sort of respect him ever again after that.
I want you to teach me that in a minute. I've been actually doing the Elaine dance the last 2 days.
Oh, I'd like
and
to
I
see
think
that.
I have it down pretty well.
Well,
but
I'll be the judge of that.
Like, turn the beat around. Yeah! But now it's time for the actors to move on. Jason Alexander is producing pilots for 3 TV series and plans on returning to Broadway. Michael Richards wants a few months off and then plans to continue his movie career. And Julia Louis-Dreyfus is also looking at movie scripts and has big dreams of Broadway.
I'm thinking about Hedda Gabler. No, I'm kidding. I don't know. Medea? I don't know.
Something sort of
Anything is possible. Well, almost anything.
you could do sort of a Seinfeld reunion show. Kind of like they did on Leave It to Beaver.
We could do that, yeah, but we won't do that.
And then there's Jerry, who after almost a decade working with this crowd, remains something of an enigma.
I would say that he's a very serious, funny guy.
He's a big kid. I think he's a very introspective, thoughtful 19-year-old.
Coming up, our exclusive interview with that very serious but funny 19-year-old, Jerry Seinfeld himself.
Tomorrow, a scam that cost this man his life savings.
It sounded good at first, you know.
The hottest con game around that targets both old and young.
The bull market on Wall Street has fueled a bull market on fraud.
How
with George and his parents. Jerry's been trying to keep the hype to a dull roar, but that's been a losing battle. And the rumors about the final episode have been flying, with everything from a Thelma and Louise ending to wedding bells for Jerry and Elaine, and who knows what in between. So far, it's been the best kept secret since Who Shot JR? Now, in his only television interview before the big show, Jerry is finally opening up a little about leaving on top, about his private life, and the pressures of creating a final episode that will satisfy his fans.
What's going on? Hey, what? Jeez. Can't I get a moment's peace?
You look a little stressed.
Oh, I'm stressed. Yeah, there is a lot of pressure. I've resigned myself to the fact that everyone will hate it. I'm starting with that.
Well, that's one way to lower expectations. But if he felt the pressure, Jerry Seinfeld wasn't showing it, even though he was just about to film this week's Seinfeld sign-off.
Who is this guy? All these rich people here.
Yeah.
So out of touch, think they know what the public wants.
Yeah.
All he knows is the public wants the Seinfeld finale to be great, an instant classic, like the last episode of the Mary Tyler Moore Show, or the Newhart finale. One of the most anticipated events in television history, it also has to meet the standard that Seinfeld has set for itself. Episodes that had everybody talking around the water cooler the next day. Like The Contest.
So you're still master of your domain?
Yes. Yes, I am.
The Outing.
We're not gay. Not that there's anything wrong with that.
And The Puffy Shirt.
I feel ridiculous in it. And I think it's the stupidest shirt I've ever seen, to be perfectly honest with you. You know, you can only do the best you can, and we'll certainly do that. And I think actually people are going to love it. I know what the show is, and I think it's going to be great, and people are going to love it. So yeah, there's pressure, but if I didn't like pressure, I wouldn't be sitting here on Dateline to begin with.
With me.
With you, firing those hardballs.
We met on the now famous set of Jerry's apartment, and the studio bleachers quickly filled up with staffers and crew members. Trying to sit down with a guy who does stand-up is never easy, but Jerry seemed willing to have a serious conversation about saying goodbye to the life he's known for the last 9 years.
be his
Well,
last year.
semi-serious.
Do you feel sad, though, at all?
No, not at all.
No? Not one scintilla of
Why would I
sadness?
feel sad about something that was good?
Because you won't be doing something that you enjoyed and was so good anymore. It's going to be a thing of the past for you.
Yes, but that's no way to live life. To just feel bad that you don't have more and more. That's the American concept of excess that, you know, donut shops. I mean, how many donuts do you need? The key is the right proportion of something.
When you were making the decision, Jerry, to leave and call it quits, NBC, I mean, they were pulling out the stops for you, offering you, what, a ridiculous sum of money, $5 million an episode. And, I mean, did you ever say, whoa?
Oh, I definitely said, whoa.
People's #1 fear is public speaking.
But as a stand-up comedian, he went with his instinct for timing and for knowing his audience.
You have to think of the audience as a child that you're in charge of. And you have to do right by the child. And the child will ask for things that they shouldn't be given because it'll make them ultimately less happy.
You got to cut them off.
Yeah. And they'll be glad you did it. It'll be a better feeling for them. They'll look back on this thing and have something that they experienced in their lives that didn't go to hell.
Here's to those who wish us well, and those who don't can go to hell.
As millions of fans prepare to throw Seinfeld goodbye parties, the 44-year-old star may be leaving on top. But it wasn't easy climbing the showbiz ladder. Growing up in Massapequa, Long Island, which he claims is Indian for near the mall, Jerry says he inherited his dad's sense of humor and amused himself by interviewing the family parakeet. On the night he graduated from Queens College, Seinfeld's first comedy gig was at New York's Catch a Rising Star. It was open mic night. He bombed.
Was it horrible?
It's pretty horrible. All you think is, these people hate me. And I don't know why. And it's a terrible feeling. It's a terrible, sinking feeling.
Apparently, he was a glutton for punishment. He continued performing, subsidizing his nighttime stand-up routine with day jobs that seemed more suited for Kramer.
You, what, sold light bulbs, I read?
Yes, I sold
Did you get
light bulbs.
chased by the cops because you were selling fake jewelry on the streets
That
of
is
Manhattan?
True. Yes, dollar jewelry. $1 for the whole piece.
Really?
It was beautiful. It was lovely.
Do you have any?
I think that ring looks great.
It's easy to laugh now, but he had 5 very tough years. And then it happened. May 1981.
He's worked a lot of small clubs, both in New York and Los Angeles. Would you welcome him, please? Jerry Seinfeld. Jerry?
Seinfeld hit it big on The Tonight Show.
Hey, well, good evening. Boy, this is so exciting for me. I'm so excited to be here.
Forget about it. I mean, this guy was an emperor of the industry, and you were going to perform for the emperor.
My favorite song, you pull up to the light and it says, left turn, okay. Don't you like that one little personal touch? It's like they're saying to you, left turn, okay.
It was transforming. It was like one of those soap commercials where you walk through the wall of water, you know? It was like a Coast commercial, you know? You're just bubbly and all excited. And knowing I'm not going to smell after this. And he gave me one of these.
He did?
Yeah.
Ooh, that was big.
The coveted one of these.
Jerry Seinfeld. Thank you, Jerry. Take a bow.
Then Castle Rock and NBC approached you. I mean, not then, but
8 years later.
8 years later, yeah,
Fast
fast forward.
forward.
Yada, yada, yada.
Yeah. I know on Dateline it's very easy to make these jumps because we show the dates. You know, I mean, what is the difference whether something happened in 71 or 73? It's really kind of annoying to force people to show people how faulty their memory really is.
No,
I mean,
but
is that the
people,
point of that?
No, the people who remember what year was it, they feel really good about themselves. They say, see, honey, I told you that was 1974.
Right. And most of us don't. When most people feel bad, that's bad. That's a bad show.
Okay, Jerry, we can take a joke. Let's see if you can.
Now for the Dateline Sein line. He turned 35, and he got a shot at doing his own sitcom. What year was it? Who cares?
If you care, it was 1989. At first, the show was called The Seinfeld Chronicles.
Which initially was not exactly embraced by audiences.
No, not at all. It was a little different. At the time we came on television, we talked different from other TV shows. It didn't sound so jokey.
For the first few years, Seinfeld was flattened in the ratings by shows like Jake and the Fat Man. In fact, it almost never made it on the air. One executive said it was too Jewish, too New York. But a few network honchos saw the potential in the writing of Jerry Seinfeld and co-creator Larry David, who modeled the show on their long friendship.
And whenever we would have conversations, they were always funny. I mean, we would just laugh talking because we would immediately go into some very small, arcane subject matter and just dwell on it. And when this idea of me doing a show came up, I thought, I want it to sound like those conversations.
But was it a show about nothing? Jerry Seinfeld says he never said that.
It was a line of dialogue from an episode when we were pretending
right.
We were pitching the show to NBC, and George said, everyone's doing something, we'll do nothing. Because George is an idiot. I mean, that would be as if, that would be like you just played guessing games in the middle of some news program. I mean, that's nothing.
Seinfeld was about something, the characters. Seinfeld would usually let the others get the laughs.
Serenity now.
If you look at the four characters, it's like I'm the anchorman. It's like local news, you know? You have the idiot weatherman and the obsessed sports guy, but then you have the anchorman that they all say back to you, Jim. The funny thing about it is that I'm the comedian, so I should be the eccentric. That's why it's all backwards.
Backwards, and more often than not, completely off the wall.
That's it! That's it! I warned you kids! I told you not to play in front of my house. This time, I'm keeping it.
You'll never see an episode where Jerry's cousin comes to stay for a weekend. You know, we try and go, you know, into the more odd places.
So if you didn't see Jerry's cousin stay for a weekend, what would you see?
You would see, you know, George try and have sex with his cousin to upset his parents. Basically the same, but just a little off.
Yeah. What are you eating? Junior Mint.
This episode, The Junior Mint, was a turning point for the show. It was more than a little off. But it worked. And from then on, the show allowed itself to veer away from reality into the far-out reaches of comedy.
Are you sitting at a table with your writers and they say, hey, let's have Kramer drop a Junior Mint in a body cavity? I think, where does this stuff come from? Where does it come from?
Where do ideas come from? You want me to answer that?
Yeah. No,
Ask Brahms. I don't know where ideas... No one knows. See, this is the most...
Stupid question.
Stupid question. And the arrogance of people to attempt to answer it as if they know. I mean, where do the ideas for haircuts come from? Do you ever think about that? Who thinks of a new haircut?
Magazines.
And where do the magazines come from?
Trees.
Trees. And where do the trees come from?
God.
God. So it all comes from God. So let's just move on.
Okay, let's. Is that better?
That's the way you get out of the bed.
Thank you,
yeah.
thank you. But I need those questions.
Okay. Do you really?
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
I met this lawyer. We went out to dinner. I had the lobster bisque. We went back to my place, yada, yada, yada. I never heard from him again.
I mean, I even say yada, yada, yada on the Today Show. And, I mean, that must be pretty strange to realize the impact that you guys have had. Isn't it?
I once read this thing that there are 3 levels of comedy. The first is to make your friends laugh. The second is to make strangers laugh. The third is to make strangers pay to have you make them laugh. And then the highest level is to make people talk like you, because it seems like so much fun.
Like the others, Seinfeld says he has no favorite episode, but this scene and one called The Rye sticks out.
And we had brought in fake snow, and we had to shoot it at night. It was 5 in the morning, you know,
throwing a marbled rye.
And throwing a piece of rye bread as high as I could throw it. I mean, what a perfectly insane moment of life. And spending millions to do it.
But while Seinfeld the show reeled in tens of millions of viewers each week, not everyone was hooked. For instance, among black audiences, the show often ranked below number 60 in the ratings.
That took me aback, frankly, and I was sort of saying, wow. Does it bother you?
I don't know what that means. But a lot of black people come up to me and say they like the show. I'm sure if you broke down any show in terms of ethnic appeal, you'd find that different people like different things. I mean, it's interesting to watch the show globally now.
Merci de vouloir faire ça. Pourquoi perdre une opportunité d'aller en prison?
The show is hugely popular in Australia and England and Israel, but they hated it in Germany. So, I mean, every culture, I guess, would respond in a different way.
Do you regret at all not making some additions to the cast that might have given it a more ethnically diverse makeup, or do you think that would be forced political correctness?
There's a very strict rule around here about comedy. We are here to do comedy. We are not here to service anyone or anything other than comedy.
And that has meant stepping, if not stomping, on more than a few toes. Several Hispanic groups were furious over last week's episode in which Kramer accidentally set a Puerto Rican flag on fire. The show's producer, Castle Rock Entertainment, and NBC apologized to viewers who may have been offended. During our interview, that episode was still in production, but the question of the series' sensitivity did come up.
You're intentionally offensive often. Would you say that's fair?
Well, I don't know if it's with disregard to sensitivity.
Okay,
let's put it that way.
That's a better way of saying
it.
I watched the one with Kramer and Mel Torme at the dinner for the mentally retarded organization. It was funny, but on the other hand, I thought, you know, is that appropriate material for comedy? And I was sort of on the fence about it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it could be. It could be.
Did
no,
you,
no, people are going to get hurt. There's no question that if you want to work all the way, you're going to tread the line a little bit. And I'm sure sometimes we've gone over it.
Don't get any bread.
Just forget it, let it go.
But after 9 years and 169 episodes, the show has taken a toll.
I've kind of been gone. And I'm very anxious to see what the world is like now that I'm back.
A lot of people complain about the price of fame. And you said, apparently in an interview in Gentleman's Quarterly in 1991, I love everything about being famous. Do you still feel that way?
Yeah, just because it's my nature to accept something as a whole. And if this is what being famous is, you know, if people, you know, tabloids and photographers and whatever, difficult moments, I want that because I get the good parts, too.
What do you think the best part is?
The best part of being successful?
The best part of being Jerry Seinfeld.
Well, Barbara, Katie, the best part is I get to make a lot of people laugh. That's the best part.
Is the financial security nice?
Yeah, it's all right.
Better than all right. He reportedly will take in more than $60 million this year alone. So he's using some of that cash to collect classic sports cars. Apparently, Jerry has a thing for Porsches.
How many Porsches do you own?
A lot.
Why?
I love them.
But how many do you need?
Do I need? I don't need any.
You have something like 40 Porsches, Jerry?
No.
How many?
That is a lie.
The truth? He's not saying, but the word on the street is that he could easily drive a different Porsche every day of the month.
Now, are you moving to New York?
Yes, I am.
Are you?
Yeah, I'm going to live.
Leaving LA?
Yeah. I feel like in LA you get less funny every year.
Yeah, is that right?
Yeah. In New York you get more funny.
Like his character on the show, Jerry is very single. He called it quits last year with longtime steady Shoshana Lonstein, who he started dating when she was 17, 22 years his junior. But there are signs that one day, Jerry Seinfeld might actually settle down.
In 10 years, I'd like to be.
10 years. I think I'd like to have a family.
Really?
Yeah, I think 10 years from now, I would like to have had a family by that point.
You definitely want children?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it seems like fun.
Would you like to get married?
Married?
Not to me. and, you know, before you have children?
Oh, yeah, sure. Is that an option? Is that not, I mean, I don't have to anymore?
What's happening in your,
Nothing.
Nothing?
Nothing.
No girl?
No, just very quiet.
So, after Jerry's eaten his last bowl of cereal, Kramer's made his last entrance, and George and Elaine have gotten on each other's nerves for the last time, the door will close forever on apartment 5A. Jerry Seinfeld is mulling over his future. He still wants to do stand-up, but no movies. And don't hold your breath for some Seinfeld sequel called Jerry's Place.
I would never do a series again, and I don't think I would do a talk show either.
Any case of can I top this itis?
No. Why top it? Top what? I mean, I am in negotiation for the rights to Jake and the Fat Man, to bring that back, but not as a series, as a living sculpture.
And just in case Jake and the Fat Man doesn't work out, Seinfeld's immediate post-series project is to do a Broadway stand-up act this summer. The word is he'll be warming up overseas. And reportedly, he's thinking of setting up his own ad agency because he had so much fun doing the American Express spots. If you'd like to find out more about Seinfeld, vote for your favorite episode, or comment on the finale, just log on to Dateline's website. The address is www.dateline.msnbc.com.
On Dateline Friday, for 19 years.